today we have an exciting, very interesting show. In fact, yes, I'm even wearing a specific color in honor of it. I'm excited about this service hero and service heroes that we're going to be highlighting today. And I want to say that it is because we have Jordan and Christopher that were nominated by one of our service heroes, Mandy Kikta. And let me say that, in fact, let me find Mandy in her hat and see if I can find it in the line because I wanted to show it off. But oh, there she is. There she is in all of her glorious hat and fun. And Mandy was like, you need to talk with Jordan. I need you to learn about what it is that she's doing and what's happening in her neck of the woods. And as I started to learn, I actually thought, wow, this is very similar to when I was working with and during the 36-hour give-a-thon, the Oracle Ruth Miller, and how she travels all over the world with the animals that she has, and they're healing animals. They're animals that teach. They're animals that are making a difference. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I hadn't seen someone that was that interested in snakes and other reptiles and fun things as the Oracle. As now, Jordan Spring is here, and welcome, Jordan. Jordan, you are someone that has been loving these animals, giving them the attention ever since you were a child, and now you are helping with a business that has been around since last year and is giving through charity work and education and breeding and so much more. These unique animals, they're you're putting them in the spotlight, and I'm thinking, okay, how fun. So welcome, and thank you for loving them as much as you do. Because, as I was saying before we started, we all need to be loved, including the creatures of the world, these special animals. And so thank you for being here. And who do you have in your hands?
We haven't exactly named her yet. We haven't had her for extremely long. We got her before the law in Florida passed. She's an educational animal in training. She recently went to her first show as a display animal, non-touch. This is her second show she's ever been on, or third display animal, no touch, to see how she reacts to the public and see how she reacts to being in a different environment. We have not named her yet.
So there's different classifications of these animals. Educational animal, no touch. See, that right there in itself, it's very clear. It's very easy to understand. Yet, I don't know that I would have ever thought that there would be such classifications.
In Florida, there's actually the classification for an animal with no touch is something we've come up with our business to make sure we have good safety when we do our shows. We want to ensure that everybody's safe and secure and that we're not putting anybody in danger as we handle these animals or as they get to handle them. There are quite a few that we do for handling themselves. As a matter of fact, why don't you guys put her up for a second? Let me grab the tegu. She goes in the tag.
And so what you do is you actually go to schools and you go to places where you educate on these animals. And oh my goodness, look at that one. And at times people, in particular kids, they love these guys, don't they?
Oh yes, this one's she's 4 years old. She was caught wild out of South Florida and sold into captivity so she wouldn't have to be killed.
Okay.
We've had her for about that long since she was caught. She has been to school shows. She's a touch animal. We allow kids to interact with her. We've done several shows with her. She just went to a show recently. She's done the Great American Teach-In, and she's a very sweet tegu.
A tegu. Now, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a tegu. What kind? I mean, explain what a tagoo is.
A tegu lizard are native to Argentina.
Okay.
They've been in Florida. There's wild populations throughout Florida. However, there are people that catch them and sell them into captivity so they don't have to be killed. Legally, they can be killed, but we don't prefer that. We actually take them to shows so that we can use this to educate people, to make sure you get your proper enclosure before you get an animal, to show them different kinds of animals and allow them to understand that these animals can be a lot of work, but they can be very rewarding if you pay attention, and if you do, you get everything you need to and get prepared.
Now, let me ask you this, because I know that when I worked with Ruth during the 36 hours, she has these in particular snakes that are like healing snakes, and and she has them around her daughter. She has them around kids. They can, and they are ones that they can even tell where you're hurting, and they can help to even maybe somehow ease the pain of your body. And these animals, they care, don't they? And they're intelligent, and they have a certain type of, is it, would you call it empathy, or what would you call it?
I'm I don't really know on that. I mean, from a scientific aspect, they can look at it both ways. I've seen some animals that'll approach me and won't approach Chris, or some of them that will. There's one of the snakes we brought with us will actually follow Chris around in an odd manner and just follow him. And she's 16, over 16 foot long. And it's just different. I mean, it's not like she's in a restricted. We take her outside sometimes without her being where we stand to let people learn to interact, let our volunteers train with them, and she's actually turned around and followed him.
and, like a dog, like a pet, right?
Yes. Where are you going?
Oh
Huh?
wow! I mean, that looks. And right now, Helene, welcome, Helene, one of our Chemo Buddies for Life, one of my buddies and our ambassador of the chat. She's saying, Jordan, can I take a snake to Barbara, who is one of our buddies, and she actually has a real fear of snakes. And so she's like, can I take her, and so that Barbara could hold one? Because there are those people that have true fear of reptiles, and is it because we've been taught to have fear, or is it something that inherently humans have? I mean, I have to kind of mind over matter, to be honest with you, because at first I'm thinking, I was looking at some of your pictures and I'm thinking, okay, if I saw this face, oh, look at that face, and this one, I mean, my goodness, we a new appreciation, because it's like they do have a cuteness to them in their reptile-ness. I'm thinking, wow, in the middle of the night, I don't know what I would be thinking if I ran up against one of those. Yet, having you educating, and Ruth and others, there is, I don't know what to say, a gentleness, what is it that you would say? Because you've been around them your whole entire life. Was your family into reptiles, or was it you alone, or what is that story?
My family was actually worked in part of my family owned a reptile shop prior to me being born. When I was a kid, my mom had iguanas,
Okay.
so I started there, and then I always caught lizards and snakes when I was a kid and learned to identify them. I never really had a fear of reptiles. However, we actually have one of our volunteers here behind us who did. She
Okay.
was actually scared of snakes and actually comes and volunteers and works with our big ones and stuff. So we work,
Wow.
yeah, we work as we do shows and stuff. We've had people approach us that were scared of the animals that, would wait about 5-10 minutes, and finally they would touch it and they would feel so relieved. It's not the way they thought it felt. It's not slimy like they thought. We do educational shows. We do slideshows and add animals in too. And then they get to see the difference. It's not just a slideshow. We go over the slideshow, and then they get to see the difference in the animals and how they feel, and they lose their fear too. So a lot of them get really excited over, especially kids. We've had, I think the youngest we've had was a 2-year-old that's messed with our snakes.
That's messed with them. You know, and here's a picture that I just think really speaks volumes because, and a couple of them, because here they are, their kids are going to be curious and many times they won't have that fear inherently unless we teach them to have the fear. And I was sharing with you that the only reptile that I've really ever had in my home, one of my sons convinced me that it was time that he had a king snake. And he named him Arthur, and I ended up really liking that snake. I didn't know that I would. I've always loved turtles or tortoises. And so you and Christopher, and then all of you that are there at the Green Swamp Exotic group there in Florida, are out educating, because there's been, you know, you guys are very much about charity, working with the public, working with the communities, saving these animals. And there's been some changes, or there is proposed changes in your legislation. And how is that affecting the animals right now?
As it stands, our animals themselves, if the legislation already passed through Senate, House, and was signed off by the governor, it places all our conditional animals, like all 3 of these animals, or 2 of the animals you just seen, go on a prohibited list. With that being said, one of the place that enforces this is deciding on the rules. The current rules that they are deciding on will actually shut down our business completely, and we will no longer be allowed to take any of these animals into a public location, meaning no kids will ever be able to touch them again. We would have to be a public facility on commercial property for anybody to come in, and they wouldn't be able to mess with them at all. They wouldn't be able to interact, and they wouldn't be able to learn about them in a different environment that most people don't get to see.
And so, like your volunteer that, and the others that have had these fears, and then they're able to interact, they're able to carefully touch, they're able to, with supervision, find out how it is that they're to interact with them, and that would go away. Is there a way for it? Oh my goodness, look at that face. Look at that face.
This is one of our ones we've used for several shows. She's actually went to our latest one. She went to Gillibration, which benefited Give Kids the World. She's been to Great American Teach-In. She's a 16-foot reticulated python, requires a permit in Florida. And if the way the rules are going, we would have to sell her out of state or have her humanely euthanized.
And she's been to how many shows, and how many people have been able to be benefited by her?
Over hundreds of people have been able to see her. I don't know how many shows we've done. We've done 7, 8, 9 shows.
Oh,
she's been most of them. Put the Regal back in the thing.
And so right now it sounds like this is a pivotal time. Is there a way that all of this can continue?
As it stands right now, an organization that is USARK Florida and USARK Florida has opened up a lawsuit to stop this from going through as it is. Right now, they're our last line of defense to even be able to own these. They're doing what they can, and we're doing what we can to help. We donate to them. We volunteer to help them at shows and stuff so they can get donations to help fight this legislation that'll shut us down.
And I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you, but I think that we're okay. But if anybody that's watching this is having a hard time, I really want you to be able to hear what Jordan is sharing. So this is all new, and it's an ever fluid and changing situation. And I did read that you went recently to one of the educational programs, and you were able to handle it in a way that was socially distanced. It was safe for all involved, with the required headgear, with the distancing, with the animals themselves, the way you handled the animals, the way that the kids and those that were there as their guardians and such, the teachers, everything went off well. And that's what you're accustomed to, helping these animals be able to go out. And I'm thinking it's kind of like what you think of in the old fashioned, when I was growing up, we had a group that was outside of our little community, and you could go, and it wasn't quite a petting farm, but it was kind of like a petting farm. It was different than the zoo. It was something that you got to interact with the animals there on the property. And do you have a facility right now that, similar to what I was able to go to, you go to these shows now, do you have a facility where people can come to you?
Actually, we were planning on opening that up in 2021. We've had volunteers helping us redo the property where it's nice to come in and where we can actually do the education, allow people to interact and see these animals. Now, we have let people out by appointments and to come see the animals, to interact with them, feed some of the lizards. We got some cool lizards at home, and it's made their day. We've had anywhere from, as I said, we've had the youngest was 3. We've had older kids. We've had kids that are, for instance, when we did Gillibration, children with disabilities, we always try to make sure that our volunteers and everything are trained to deal with the animals with safe way, and that we can help these children understand what's going on and how to deal with these. And we were planning on opening up mainly for public facility next year.
So the animals that I'm looking at, like the one that you're sharing right now that wants to go, it's like, Mom, I want to go over and play there. That looks interesting. It reminds me of a kid, right? Like, I want to play where I want to play. And so with the way that it is right now, since we're in July, and you were looking at opening the facility this next year, will they grant you right now, or do you know if they would grant you some kind of a stay to say, okay, you're going to comply with having the commercial place that people can come, and you're working towards that? Would they give you a stay, and so that you would be able to keep your animals?
We would have to actually have our property listed as commercial itself. As it stands, we're considered a private residence, and we would be letting, people come out on those terms for appointments and visiting. But unless we go find an actual commercial building and become a public facility and file for another permit itself, if the rules pass as the way they are written right now, things like this, we would not be grandfathered in. We would have 90 days after final rules to give up our animals.
So what kind of timing are we talking right now? What are you facing right now?
The first hearing that FWC Commission's having is the 23rd, and we're hoping they postpone the final rules off of that, so they can adjust it and get a better idea of working with the community itself and figuring out what we can do to make this where both parties are good. As it stands, this animal down here on the ground has not been allowed to be owned as a pet in Florida in over 10 years. 10 years ago, they had to have microchips and everything. So all owners of reticulated pythons, Burmese, they're all held accountable. The wild ones you see are not coming from these. You can get in a lot of trouble if your animal got loose. They have a microchip, and FWC has the information.
And what is FWC? Did you say FWC?
FWC is Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation. They are the ones that enforce the rules with any wildlife in Florida. They're the ones that create the rules and establish things according to, sometimes it's data, sometimes it's they'll listen to the people and work with them. It just varies.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that any of this is happening because of, I mean, you mentioned it, and it's making me think that there's probably some people that are thinking, well, yeah, you can understand why they're doing that. Haven't you seen or heard the stories of people that get the baby alligators and then they start to grow, and then they flush them down the toilet, or they do this or they do that, and then it's in your pipes, and then it's that, like all the monster stories, if you will, of all of these people that are being, they're not being responsible, and they're putting the public at risk. Is there an element of truth in that, or is that all just a bunch of stories and malarkey?
So some of it is and some of it isn't. Originally, there's a list that was called the conditional species list that had 9 animals listed. 7? 9. The animals listed were no longer allowed to be owned as pets in 2010. The other animals they added on were allowed to be in the pet trade, and they could have just added those to the list and left it as is. But a lot of people get a misconception with Florida. With Florida, for instance, your Burmese pythons down south. The issue was caused in the early 90s, and the wild population now has nothing to do with current Burmese owners, because we all have to have microchip documented and a record keeping of where you got that animal. And I can guarantee you this, FWC will ask you where you got your Burmese python. I had gotten a normal one legally, and I got asked, and they scanned it for a microchip to make sure as well. So some of the other stuff, they're punishing. What they're doing is they could have just added the iguanas and tegus, but instead they took commercial out for the other species that were on that list, and you can only own those for like 3 different reasons. And if you don't meet the criteria of one of those reasons, you can't own them. They're nothing more than inventory to the state of Florida. They're not considered pets. We're legally not supposed to consider them pets. Although we do love them, they are our animals. They are family to us. Right. So it's a back and forth thing. Florida has a lot of rules and regulations with alligators, snakes, and other animals as is.
Have you ever had an alligator?
I am not permitted to have an alligator, no.
I was gonna say, whoa, that one. It's like, okay, I'm actually really loving. Now, does this one have a name?
This one is Alice.
That's Alice, yes.
Oh, Alice, you are adorable. Alice is just like, wow. And let's see, I want to bring up a comment here. I want you to hear this. Bless these stewards of the amazing earth creatures. So that was very sweet, Skip. Thank you. Good afternoon. Hope everyone is having a great day. And then, hello, my courageous. They're talking to each other, and so I'm trying to figure out, because number one, I want to say thank you, both of you, for being the service heroes that you are to these animals and to this raising the awareness. And Mandy Kikta, thank you for contacting me and telling me about Jordan and Christopher here, and that there is this. She let me know you could not find 2 people that are more community service oriented and wanting to give back and educate. I'm thinking, okay, because I have that kind of brain. What can we do? Solution oriented. Let's get this done. How do we get behind you guys? What is needed? I mean, how I know that we do have some people from Florida that are very involved in this show, and some of my community. What is it what kind of help do you need? I mean, what is it that people can do to help you?
In all honesty, following USARK Florida's post on Facebook and on their website, they're keeping up with everything, including how we can probably fight this and get it reversed next year, and what we can do now. We generally share their posts on our Facebook page as well, because they're the people that are on the front line right now fighting for us. We volunteer and try to help them out best we can, and we try to, we'll do fundraisers to try to help them raise money so that they can continue to fight this, because fighting it's going to cost a lot. But the best thing to do is follow USARK Florida, and they keep everybody posted on what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what the community can do, so that we don't have to lose animals like Alice or my tegu that I've had for 4 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, my heart is just I mean, it's everything not to start getting misty-eyed over this, which is interesting because as I was first going to your page and I'm looking at the animals and I'm capturing the pictures for the show, I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, you have a face a mother could love. And, and now as I'm seeing Alice interact with you guys, and she just wants to go over there and play on the jungle gym, kind of thing. And I know it's not a jungle gym. It could actually probably hurt her. However, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, like a kid. And what is it that now this group that is taking on and is fighting right now, what is it that you're saying that they are? I'm not quite catching that.
The letter U, SARK, Florida, or FL. They're the United States Association of Reptile Keepers, the Florida chapter itself.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I did read some of what you had on your page and about the fact that all the funds that you are helping to raise and others are raising right now, all is going to the fight. No one's going to take any of these funds for themselves. They're all going for any of the legal fees, whenever kind of work needs to be done to create an awareness and to actually get in there and fight for the rights of these amazing, do you call them animals, creatures? What do we call them?
I call them animals. They're nice little animals. We have a variety of animals, critters, whichever day of the week it is. I call them various things.
Okay, critters or animals. Okay, there you go. All right, and so now you were also saying that you've got 2 locations. Is that it? Because you have the reptiles, and then I did see that you had I didn't even capture any of the pictures, guys. I'm so sorry because I was like, okay, like rats and stuff, right?
Yes, our rodents are actually kept in a separate facility. That's actually a friend of ours owns a building that we have rodents in.
Okay, all right, and some of those are to help with the nutritional value for your critters there, and then the other, and some people do actually have those as pets. Now, are they involved in this whole issue too? The rats?
They do what they can. In fact, one of them's offered to do a fundraiser with some of her business stuff to help us out as well if we have to actually hire our own lawyers or whatever we're helping with USARK Florida, whatever we can help donate to them, she's helping as well. A few of our others, we don't sell to a lot of people in the public with our rodents right now because we have to feed our own animals.
Right,
but
right.
We try to get it out there, and a lot of our friends actually take the initiative to do stuff with us to try to help us, and knowing that most of the time we won't make money off of things. I mean, they just volunteer their time for the love of the animals. Now, I do have a very important part of information that you may want to hear. So with these snakes becoming on a prohibited list, and sadly, it won't stop there. It'll eventually go down to where it's the ball pythons, the bearded dragons. It'll go down to people's pets. It starts up here and then it ends when they're all gone. And that's the way it's been trying to go.
Why?
Because there are invasive issues in Florida, and there are people that are trying to address it. Not all the animals require permits. Some of them do, like this big snake does. A lot of the little snakes don't. And as they keep adding them, they get some of the information. For instance, in 2019 FWC commission meeting, they brought up that most exotic animal injuries were from unlicensed people who had raccoons. And they use that against us too. And it continues. They pile them all together until there's nothing that they have to worry about.
I'm amazed at this because here you have an environment that you clearly are responsible. You are following all of the rules, if you will, the chipping and everything. And then you are even when you've worked with any kind of a charity situation, you end up basically paying for everything, and then any of the funds raised, none of that goes to you. That all goes to the charity that you are helping to raise funds for. So you are not only educating, you are doing the work, you are also out of pocket and taking care of all of the responsibilities and the needs in a responsible way. And here's the best example of people being able to gain an appreciation for these amazing, beautiful animals. These are gorgeous animals, and then you find fun ways of being able to even share in the education. You have a swamp person or something, right? That you guys have go out there with you or something.
No, that was actually an event called Gillibration. It was to celebrate the creature of the Black Lagoon, and Scott Fensterer put a lot of that on, and Raku Browning, one of the original actors, was actually there. That event benefited Give Kids the World. We actually paid a vendor fee to vend out there with our animals. What we did is, instead of vending, we set up a donation box, and we allowed people to come out there, come to our booth and touch the animals. If they wanted to donate, they did. If not, they didn't have to. And we worked with everything from children who could not physically move themselves at all to people that were really energetic, and their parents were like, I'm sorry. And we worked with that and enjoyed it. We made nothing off of it. We spent our gas, time, and everything to go to Silver Springs, and had volunteers that went with us, and we just absolutely adored it.
I'm being asked by Skip Thomas here, and he's saying, are no government agencies supporting you?
As it went through Senate and House, we actually went to some of the Senate meetings and the House meetings, and it seems that the representatives don't have an understanding of what is going on and more on it. For instance, we were asked if an iguana was to get loose in New York or a different state where it gets really cold, it would overpopulate that place. And honestly, an iguana can't really survive even in North Florida. The cold winter will kill it. So a lot of it was misinformation up there, and used to FWC would work with us, but the rules that they have proposed is showing they're not. They have new people in the FWC office that none of us really know, and we've tried to work with them, and USARK Florida's went out of their way to try to work with them, only to right now be at a standstill. So we're trying to get as much as possible help-wise, and just keep fighting it until we can.
So, and then he also is asking, what about other charities? You've done charity work for others. Now, are there any charities that are coming to your aid right now?
We haven't really asked any of them. Honestly, we just post on our Facebook and share stuff. The only other 501c3 charity, actually there's two. There is a rescue that we support highly that actually did a video not long ago, and occasionally give us shout outs for helping and all that. And she's also got animals that will be in trouble with this. So we keep in touch with her. She keeps in touch with us with what she finds out. And then we have USARK Florida and USARK are both 501c3 charities. So we just, those are the only things we have right now, is mainly the USARK Florida thing. That, as I said, that's a 501c3. They go out of their way. But as for our normal stuff, we don't. We post it on our page and let people come to help us as they can. I don't go out asking for donations or anything off the back. We do try to do things like sell stuff to help. Another business actually that helped us a lot last year, or the beginning of this year, is called, what was that? Country Meats. And they do fundraisers. They allow people to do fundraisers for like Boy Scouts and all that. So, and it's very interesting on how that works.
And then Skip is also asking one more question. What's the funniest critter story you've had? And, you know, the funniest one you can think of. Oh, I love that face already. Okay.
Brought Alice home. We took her out of the container, and she crapped all over me. And it was horrible.
Oh.
Aside from that, I got an Asian water monitor who occasionally, if somebody's over and he's sitting on my shoulder, will climb on top of my head and not get off.
So you have a hat.
Yes, a hat with very sharp nails.
Oh, wow.
Show out here in the parking lot too.
Oh, wow. And then let's see. I quit eating fried bologna from watching the movie as a kid. I'm not quite getting that. Quit eating fried bologna from watching that movie as a kid. I guess there's a movie that he's referencing in regards to what it is that you've got going on. I'm not quite getting it. Skip, gonna have to give us a little bit more information. Yeah, I'm not getting it, but that's okay. That's all right. So now, as far as your next step, you right now, obviously you're here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I feel honored that we're able to highlight the two of you and actually your whole crew, all your volunteers, everybody you've got working with you, because you can see it in the way that you're interacting with the animals and that you love them, that they really mean something. And then you can see it in the pictures that you're sharing. Oh, wow, look at that group. And that
That's
you
actually not even the one in the orange shirt's one of our volunteers. The other's Chris. These are other people who've actually come up and looking at the animals while we're out here.
Oh, I love it. Because there's so much curiosity, I would think, and the fact that you guys know how to handle them, carefully, how to appropriately say, okay, this one's a do not touch, this one is a look with your eyes only, and then this one, yes, you can touch in this way. And like as I'm looking at the kids that I go to, you guys have got to go to the page here on Facebook. I'm going to put your image up for the Green Swamp Exotics. There we go, right here. Green Swamp Exotics. I would suggest you guys go like the page, follow, see what you can do to help. Who do you know in Florida? If there are people that are there in Florida, can they be contacting their representatives? What is it that you can have people from the state of Florida help you with? And then what about people outside of the state of Florida, besides, of course, any kind of donations to the organization that's helping to get this to them?
So FWC, before their commission meetings, they set up a date where you can actually email them about something that's a concern that they're going to go over on their list. We did it, several others did it, and the commission meetings the date is posted ahead of time. We also share it on our page so that people can go and email FWC and let them know, hey, I don't think this is going to work right. Maybe you should allow this. Allow public residents, allow them to continue either commercially, grandfather them in, something of the sort. As time flies by, people who have animals in Florida themselves should be watching, should watch what the legislation proposes, should keep an eye on if they hear something that may go on that they don't know if it's going to be true or not. Ask questions, and also make sure you're helping other people be responsible. So, for instance, when we do vending at other shows where we do, sell stuff, we actually try to make sure that the person understands the animal they're getting or the supplies they're getting for that animal, that they're looking into getting this. For instance, our two volunteers that are actually with us right now, one's holding the phone for me. Thank you, Shay. They recently got their first ball python. They got a setup first. Their first ball python come from us. So we actually, help them get it all set up, where they got the supplies and everything. And then they work with us so they can become educated on the animals themselves. Education is one of the biggest things that'll help people out. And letting FWC know that education in public areas needs to stay.
Yeah.
Right now, for instance, a lot of places can't travel due to the COVID, too many kids on a bus. they can't go to these normal zoos where they have to walk in and go see the animals, where they can just call a mobile zoo out to educate them in a similar manner to another one. So mobile exhibition is a very big thing that would really help out and that a lot of us need, especially in order to keep those. Out of Florida, watching what happens in Florida, watch your own legislation too. Other states are following, and this could end up being nationwide in the long run.
Okay, Skip is explaining, and so we'll understand the whole baloney thing. It's The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Okay, I haven't seen that one. That's why. Was the movie. I loved it until they caught him. And, okay. I don't need to say anymore. Okay, enough said. All right, you'll have to read it. Jordan, trust me, you don't want to. I'm not going to say anything more. Green Swamp Exotic Research. Yes, education and breeding. You know, we need to, anybody that loves animals, you know, any animal lover out there right now, I am going to appeal to your animal loving self. And beyond that, if you don't like animals, yet you have family members or you know a kid, even if you don't have any kids in your family and you know one, possibly you've seen one in your life, if we start taking these opportunities away from not only our kids, but also those adults, like our dear friend within our community, Barbara Beckley, yes, wink, wink, I mentioned you, that if we start taking these opportunities away for us to overcome our fears, I know that one of my dear friends, Erin Houchin, because of the Oracle, Ruth Miller, she was able to overcome her fear of snakes. Now she has an appreciation for their wisdom and a whole awareness to them that she didn't know that she'd ever experienced until she actually touched these animals. Skip is saying here, humanity must connect with nature. Yes, education is step one. And yeah, it was sad. I'm sure it was. It sounds like it. So what is it that, I mean, I'm thinking here right now, are you putting out there, besides the education of you're cutting and pasting and you're putting what's happening with the legal responsibilities or, whatever the update is for the legal stuff, are you at all putting out there in the common language what we as people that are following you would be able to say? Because I don't have a snake, I don't have any reptiles, but I am totally in alignment with you that we need to have this for our kids and for people to have an educational situation coming to them in a mobile type of a way. What can we do? What kind of verbiage can we be writing? And have you been putting that on your page? And so it would give us an idea of how we could, as a concerned citizen, support you.
Occasionally I have, when we were doing the Senate meetings, I did, as they come up with the next commission meeting for FWC, depending on what they change the rules to, we'll probably send out another letter, and I may end up sharing one that's already pre-drafted that people can look at, read, and do. Putting in your own words, your personal experiences also plays a big role. Where people say they had somebody come out that showed them these animals hands-on and they learned a lot more, or they got to feel how the scales were different, not just what we told them. So making things personal also seems to help a little bit. And then when things go back into your legislation with your Senate and House, if they start proposing bills that are going to affect your animals, contacting them, call them, email them. We also post, when we find out stuff like that, we'll post it as well. We even made a draft at one point for people to email senators, and it got posted quite a few places, and it was an effort. So just making an effort in general. Right now it's a waiting game, and that's the hardest part, is just not knowing. We're sitting and waiting to see what happens the 23rd. After the 23rd, it'll be a waiting game again to see what happens until we can finally get this to where we're guaranteed to be able to keep our animals without having to go find a commercial building that could cost us quite a bit a month, or without having to give up our animals. Because as you can see, we clearly love these animals a lot, and it'd be horrible to have to give them up because of that.
what keeps you going? What is it? Skip wants, he's asking this. What keeps you going? What is your passion? And how? I mean, many times the hardest time is that time of waiting where you don't know. You don't know, and that can be the hardest time in any situation. Is that what keeps you going right now?
The love of it. I mean, we love the reptiles. We love interacting with them. We study them. For an example, we actually trained our water monitor when he was kept in an indoor enclosure. He's tap trained. I can hand feed him. There's, I think, photos of me hand feeding him. Right now, he's in an outdoor enclosure. He just got moved, so he's still adapting. But I work with other monitors. I work to educate people and just love to see these animals thrive. I love to see, we've had people that have messaged us and say, hey, that ball python you gave us is doing great. Look at it now. It's gotten so much bigger. And it just, the education and the love for the animals itself drives us to keep going. And we're not going to give up.
No, you can tell. You can tell. So I have one question here. I don't know if you can see this, but if someone's looking at the monitor, I was wondering, what is this? You've got a dinosaur of some type, and it's your stick family tastes delicious.
We go to Repticons, which is a reptile show where reptiles, accessories, and all that is sold. For some odd reason, we thought it would be kind of cute and funny and different. Everybody has these stick figures on their vehicles, and actually, there's another one we'll show you in a second, sitting on Chris's truck. But they have these stick figure families that are always being either chased by something or they're just sitting there. So some people have gotten them and said, I'm gonna park right next to my coworker who's got a stick family. I'm like, it's funny. It's cute. It helps get money, and some of that money can be donated back. Actually, Chris has one on top of it. You want to see if we can zoom in on that one? We had a custom made one for Chris's truck.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like so unique. And oh my goodness, look at that truck. Is it all designed for the business? It looks like it's got a wrap on it.
Not all of it. A lot of this is older, prior to our business. The backside does have a tailgate wrap on it.
Uh-huh. Very cool.
And a receipt. It's got where people can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. My step parents made the wrap, the tailgate wrap. They actually did that. My sister actually made the little one.
How cool is that? So it's a family affair. All right, so we've stated the case. We know that right now the legislation, where you're at with where the bill is and everything like this, is that it has actually gone through and it's been signed by the governor. You're looking for a stay that would then have some kind of conditions that you would be able to responsibly come up with some way to find a way to win through this, where you could keep the animals, you'd be able to take them out, share them in the school environments or in the charity events and such things, and teach people to be responsible with them, and then also help to still have them as you can't really say pets now, right? But as
family members.
Pardon? I didn't hear you. So so we will check back with you. I would love for you to be able to. What?
A car just drove by and revved its motor. Nothing unusual.
Oh, okay. I'm sure having that show of snakes and reptiles and everything going on, it's how interesting. All right, so as we start to close this up, I'm going to give you, Jordan, a moment for you to tell, from your heart, what it is that you want to share, a nugget, some kind of a thought that you would like to share with people that want to be able to follow you and follow what's going on and appreciate the fact that you have taken this on and you are educating and you're getting out here actually and saying, we need your help. So I'm going to take myself down, and then when I come back, I'm going to go ahead. We'll finish out the show, okay?
Hi, Sheriff's Department.
Oh, the sheriff were just there?
Yes. They're looking for somebody. They just come to ask us a question.
Oh, okay. So did you hear what I said? I want to make sure that, I was like, okay, sheriffs, everything good?
Yeah, no, everything's good.
Okay, all right, I'll be right back. I'm going to let you have the floor for a moment.
What am I doing? I don't have anything else.
What we're doing is I wanted you to have an opportunity to share a thought, share a closing statement of what it is that you're doing right now to help make a difference for these animals, to be able to keep the animals, why you want to keep the animals, and how people can help. And then I'll be back and we'll close out the show, okay?
As I said, mainly right now it's a waiting game. You just gotta follow what gets posted and go from there. We're gonna make some. Well, I was gonna do something else. Oh, I'm making a coral snake cow whip to auction off as a donation item. Through our personal Facebook page, we're gonna donate all the money all the proceeds collected from that. It'll be a one-of-a-kind piece that we're going to do, which is unusual.
What is it?
A coral snake patterned with a coral snake into the wood cow whip. I actually make cow whips too, and Florida cow whips. So it'll be a really unique thing to auction off and donate. Right now it's just a waiting game. As I said, just watching what goes on and just keeping, when people go, oh, all these animals are being let go, correct them. No, they're not. There's a lot more going on than this, just that. There's rules we have to follow, legislation we've had to follow for years, and there's a lot of misunderstanding on a lot of things.
So be educated, be aware, understand that you are being really responsible, that you are out there educating, making a difference in these animals' lives, and you want to be able to continue to and help others to also. What is a cow whip? I have no idea what a cow whip is.
So a cow whip has nothing to do with a reptile. It is Florida people, well, actually throughout the U.S., when they moved cattle many years back, they would use a whip, a cracking whip, that they would follow them to keep them moving in a direction. It's often still used today in a lot of cow pastures where actual ranch hands are going and working cows. I've made them for 4 or 5 years, and I've done a coral snake pattern before, but I've never actually had a coral snake engraved on the head of a whip handle. A lot of people down here do competitive whip cracking, where you crack different directions. I didn't bring one with me or else I'd show. And it's a really cool little thing. I used to compete myself. I competed in FFA, and I competed at the Silver Spurs Arena in Kissimmee. So it's a cool little thing, and it will be a unique piece because it will be signed. It will be signed by both me and Chris because he normally does the handles. And it will be a one-of-a-kind type item, and it will be cool, and it'll be fully functional. So if somebody really wanted to go use it and chase something, go for it. It would work.
It would work. Okay, so how is this going to work? How much are your tickets and such things, and where can they purchase the tickets?
It will actually be an online auction that I will post a week ahead of time. I'll post a week ahead of time the date of the auction. And get a time set up and everything where everybody can actually go and do online bidding, and it will be shipped within the U.S. for free. So it'll be a one-of-a-kind piece, and it's just, I'd like to see it go for, a good amount. The most one of my cow whips is auctioned for was $200, and it was not reptile related. It was for a lady who had lost her daughter as a fundraiser.
Oh.
And to a family member for quite a bit. So I'd like to see this go for, just a decent amount for people. The money's going somewhere to help fight this legislation going on.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so after we're done with the show, if you can put your contact information in the comments, and then we will put it also on the YouTube, and have people start following you guys. And if anybody is feeling that this is a cause that you can get behind, contact Jordan. Can you use more volunteers?
Right now we got how many we got 6 volunteers currently.
Okay.
So right now, while we're still getting the property and stuff, we're not accepting any more at this time. However, we are looking for more charity shows. We're looking for our normal shows we do, some of our zoo to you, and then we're looking for more ways to interact with the community to help people understand what's going on and what they can do and give them used to seeing some animals they wouldn't get to see every day. So we are looking for stuff like that, and just to get it out there that this is not going to stop here, that we want to, responsible keepers are being punished for other things, and it's not right.
What area of Florida are you, and how far are you willing to travel?
We're located in Polk City, Florida, Polk County area. We travel generally Tampa, Orlando, sometimes north. Usually within the county. We love to do the schools within the county. However, we are willing to do a few that are nearby, that are outside the county, and just to help educate and stuff like that. We love to do them.
Okay. All right. So many that are, I know a lot of people in Florida, and I'm going to actually be sharing this out to the people that I know in Florida and say, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? And see if they can possibly help. And let's just make this happen. We've got to band together, guys. When it comes to, let's be a service hero. You guys, we all have service heroes in us. Let's help these animals to remain in their homes. Let's not see them have to go somewhere or worse. And let's keep them with people that are going to take care of them, and then help to educate others about who they are, who these animals are, and how they're important. They're important to us. We've got to take care of the animals. And so thank you very much, Jordan. Thank you very much to Christopher and to all of the volunteers that came out to make this happen. Thank you for sharing, Alice, and all of the other animals that have been shared. And any last things that you would like to say, or anybody would like to say?
Y'all guys got anything? I mean, the volunteers don't have anything. Chris has got a tegu. I don't know if the tegu's going to speak or not, but she's say hi.
Oh, you know what? I'm loving that guy. Is it a guy or a girl?
She's a girl.
Hi, girl. I'm loving her. Absolutely. I have you've got a convert here. I have to say, at the beginning of all of this, I was like, I don't know, but now I'm loving these animals. And so we've got to make sure that you guys get to keep them. All right?
Visit them.
Pardon?
All right.
All right. Well, as we close this show, okay, I want to make sure that I got all the comments. As we close the show today on July the 19th, 2020, the Service Hero Show, 365 Days of Awesome, Celebrate Success through Service. Jordan and Christopher and all of you at the Green Swamp Exotics, you guys are definitely 100% service heroes. You guys are heroes to these animals, and you need to understand that you're heroes to others that are not out there and not able to get their message heard. However, they may not even know they're at jeopardy right now to lose these animals that they love. And so thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for bringing the awareness. Thank you, Mandy Kipta, for letting me know that you wanted to nominate Jordan. And let's make a difference. Let's all band together and make a difference. All right? All right. So now, any of you that are the buddies, tonight is game night. So join us in the closed group, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's Chemo Buddies, the number 4 life. Go to the page, go to the groups, and if you haven't asked to join yet, join. 2 things. We keep it a safe place, and what takes place there stays there. All right. See you tonight. Bye, everyone.